Welcome back to the TSV Sports Show. I'm your host, Jasper Lindsay. Today I'm joined by Steven Risotto, Marco Milani, Armand Archignani, and Alvin Chang. Got a packed show for you guys today. Huge weekend of college hoops, both on the men's and women's side. Warriors trade deadline. And we got a new segment today, Steven's Take. But first, we're kicking out to Marco Milani for Skating on Thin Ice.
Thank you, Jasper. I appreciate it. So the Sharks played Monday night, and they won. They beat LA. It was Logan Couture getting the first goal of that game. Great to see the captain scoring again. Love the way the Sharks are playing right now. But the second goal was scored by our fourth line, Ryan Donato, who was playing center that night. I saw the lineup and I was like, ooh, this is an ugly lineup because Patrick Marleau was on the second line, John Leonard was on the fourth line. It was all mixed up. But one of the people who got the assists on that Donato goal was somebody that has really caught my eye this season, and that is defenseman Nikolai Kenishav. The dude is physical. He leaves it all on the ice. To use Jasper's words, he plays blue-collar hockey. He plays straight-up blue-collar hockey. And he's on a pretty good point streak. He has yet to get his first NHL goal. Every time I watch them win and the other team has net, I have been calling for the coach to put Bob Bugner to put Kenishav on the ice so he can get his first NHL goal from an empty netter. Hasn't happened yet. It will happen eventually though. But good win for the Sharks last night. But there is some other hockey that is going on, and that is the Frozen Four for the NCAA. It is starting this week, and I have my bracket already done for it. There is not an official bracket challenge that I'm doing. I just filled it out on my own. So the matches we're looking at starting in 3 days: North Dakota and American International, and Minnesota Duluth and Michigan. I have Minnesota Duluth winning that and North Dakota winning that. On the 27th, we have Minnesota and Omaha, Minnesota State and Quinnipiac. I have Minnesota winning against Omaha and Quinnipiac winning. On the 28th, that's also on the 26th, Wisconsin and Bemidji State playing, and then Lake Superior State and University of Massachusetts, and then Boston College and Notre Dame on the 27th, and Notre Dame, and St. Cloud State and Boston University. So after all is said and done, I have Minnesota led by Sharks captain, by Sharks prospect Scott Reedy, who appropriately wears number 19 for the Golden Gophers. Gotta love it. He's been playing really well this season for Minnesota, and this is his senior year, so he should be on his way to the San Jose Barracuda or the San Jose Sharks come next year. So hockey is in full swing. The trade deadline is coming up in April, so I'll be talking about that more as that gets closer. And enjoy the Frozen Four, everybody, because this is sure to be some great hockey. And that, Jasper, is really skating on thin ice.
Love to hear it. Actually, Mark, you gave me a great segue talking about trade deadlines. The NBA trade deadline is coming up, and the Golden State Warriors, they said they're going to be major players, but who knows? They've been linked to Bogdanovich. The Oladipo price was a little too high for them. Armand, what kind of trades do you think we're going to see the Warriors make at the deadline, if any?
Yeah, I think you make a great point with if any. I don't think we'll trade for anyone big. I think the most we'll do is probably get Bogdanovich, but as of right now, I don't see a trade value towards that trade. But it would be great to get another scorer off the bench. But I don't think they'll make any trades.
Yeah, and with Bogdanovich too, he's really underperformed his contract. I mean, maybe the Warriors kind of, I don't want to call it a zone, but they get good movement going. So maybe they'll get him some more open shots. But I mean, he's not the same player he was in Sacramento. And I mean, what is the Warriors' outlook the rest of the year? They split that series with Memphis. That was supposed to be a series where they were going to put some distance between them and Memphis, but I mean, yeah, it's just they still don't have an identity. It seems like every shooter on that team is streaky. I mean, can you tell me a little more about that?
Yeah, I think when they're on their day, they look like they can beat anyone in the league. But when it's going really bad, they don't have one guy that they can go to other than Steph to get them a bucket. But these last couple of games, we'll see how long Curry's out for. But these next couple of games will really show where we're at in the season.
Absolutely. All right. Switching to the college hardwood, taking it out to Indianapolis. Every bracket in America is busted. Huge weekend of college basketball. The tournament kicked off. Round of 64, electric. Round of 32, pretty good too. What were your guys' favorite upsets this weekend?
I think Loyola Chicago was probably the best storyline. Just seeing what they did a couple years ago, and then being the number 1 ranked Illinois in that respective bracket. But yeah, I think what we've seen from Loyola the last couple of years has really shown how much they've grown and how much heart they put into this. And seeing the Sister Jean story move along is pretty incredible.
Yeah, you don't beat Sister Jean on Sunday. Marco, how about you?
I gotta say Loyola Chicago too, but Oral Roberts is up there too, because they're one of those small schools that were really not destined to win anything, but they have really shown up. But something that's really caught my eye is the Pac-12 teams, Oregon and Oregon State. They have really shown up, and it's kind of shocking because Pac-12 basketball is good, but you don't usually see them make them as far as usual. They are usually upset by the SEC teams, the ACC teams, sometimes the West Coast Conference teams, sometimes the American Conference teams. But this is a good year for Pac-12 basketball, and I think I was watching Oregon, and I was also watching the Oregon State game, and they were just on fire. It was a great day for Pac-12, and then UC Boulder to top it too.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Oral Roberts, it looks like their fairy tale is going to end in the Sweet 16 as they face a really good Arkansas team. I'm a big Eric Musselman guy myself. Love the Muss Bus. Moses Moody, electric player. But yeah, Loyola Chicago, they should have never been ranked an 8 seed. I don't know what was up with that. I think Illinois got a bad rap getting upset by them because they are clearly in the 2 to 3 range, and it just pretty ridiculous. But yeah, the Pac-12 are the only conference with 4 teams left. They've been really impressive thus far. Oregon was able to get a great win over Iowa yesterday. And I think a big part of that was their first round game getting canceled. I think Oregon came rested, ready to go. And I mean, they put up a 90 piece on the Iowa Hawkeyes, who were a favorite to go to the Final Four. So yeah, Alvin, looks like you got something to say.
I think for Oregon, it's a challenge coming against the USC. The USC this year, it seems pretty good. They dominated yesterday. So I know Oregon didn't play in the first round because the Virginia has COVID player. So I think the USC and Oregon, the game will be very, very important and very clutch in a Sweet 16.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm actually interested. I want to hear your guys' Final Fours as of now, because I have some hot takes here. I got Syracuse out of the Midwest, Baylor out of the South, Gonzaga out of the West, Bama out of the East, and I have Bama and Syracuse playing for the NCAA championship. Now, I see the looks on your guys' faces. Let me explain here. Bama is a 3-and-D team. I think Gonzaga, I may be underestimating Gonzaga. Fair enough. If they beat them, no big deal. But Alabama, when they're hot, they're untouchable. Like, you saw them just bury Maryland yesterday. I mean, they're ridiculous. Their defense is even more ridiculous than their offense. And for Syracuse, I don't think anyone's going to stop that zone. Baylor's good, but Buddy Boeheim's electric. Their zone defense, it's stifled everyone this far. And they've played some electric teams. I mean, San Diego State, they were a favorite to make the Sweet 16. West Virginia, I mean, it's getting ridiculous. So, I mean, I'm going to kick it out to you guys. What's your take?
So yeah, I think Michigan is definitely up there, but Alabama is definitely a good argument for that, as they're probably going to play in the Elite Eight, I think. And I would say Gonzaga out of the West as of right now. Baylor's up there, and I would probably go. Houston has been going a little under the radar as a number 2, but they did look a little shaky against Rutgers. So I think I really like Alabama. I really like how they're playing. I like John Perry, Javon Quinterly off the bench. I think that team is electric, and if I were to see a number 2 seed win, probably be Alabama.
Yeah, Marco, how about you?
So my final four, when I made my bracket, was Gonzaga and Michigan, Baylor, and then unfortunately West Virginia lost. So I wouldn't be surprised if Loyola Chicago makes it all the way to the Final Four. I know it's a hot take, but they're really looking very, very good. Also, if they beat Oregon State on Saturday, they play Sunday, and as Jasper said, you can't beat Sister Jean on Sundays.
That's true.
But another team I would not be surprised is Syracuse. I would not surprised if I see Arkansas or Texas or guys like that or stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if I see like those later seeds, those threes, fours, later seeds make it to that Final Four, because this has been a year of upsets and I'm living for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been awesome to watch. Obviously, so happy that this tournament is back after it getting canceled last year. But another tournament that's back too is Women's March Madness. And I know Alvin and Marco, you guys have been following that closely. What are your takes on what you've seen thus far?
Okay, so so we know, so in compared to the tournament men's bracket this year, there aren't too many surprises in women's bracket. So on the upper bracket, left hand side, Stanford, Oregon, Louisville, Georgia. Right hand side, UConn, Michigan, Baylor, Iowa, and Kentucky. Those in the second round are really strong team. And in the first round, I was watching Oregon and South Dakota and Stanford versus Utah Valley's game. So Oregon and Stanford are much better than South Dakota and Utah Valley. They have some experienced player in the team. For example, on Stanford, they have 2 centers, Cameron Brink and Fran Belibi. So Brink is a freshman, Belibi is a sophomore. They was playing under 16 for Team USA. On the backcourt, Kiana Williams, who can score an average 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. In the first round against Utah Valley, Williams has 6 3-pointer along with 3 assists and 58 field goals percentage. She scored the highest 20 points in the game. Plus, on the wing side, Leafy Hall and Leafy Hall, the twin sister, they can score average 15 points per game in Pac-12 tournament. So overall, I think Stanford seems a good team in this tournament. I think they will win the champion this year. And the other team I want to mention is UConn. So as we know, UConn is a very traditional strong team, and this year they have a superstar freshman player. Her name is called Paige Baker. So she was also playing for the national team under 19, 5'11", high basketball IQ. Baker has a wonderful court vision, good shooting skills, and she can grab the offensive rebound, create another opportunity, and very talented. Although this is her first year playing for college basketball, in the regular season, she scored 19 points, 6 assists, and 2 steals. As a freshman player, this is incredible. And I think she's an X factor whether UConn can move forward to the next round, and she will be the next WNBA superstar.
Now, a lot of you are probably like, why hasn't Steve spoken up a lot today? But that's because we have a new segment just for Steve. It's called Steven's Take. Steve, let's get into it.
Yeah, so I've been actually thinking about this for a while now, and I was going to do some things on my podcast about this. The way we view high school and college sports in terms of, from a coaching standpoint, from a parent standpoint, is so skewed right now. I feel like there's so many kids watching. It's great that they're watching and idolizing talent from, basketball players and football players and baseball players and hockey players. It's great. And they turn on the TV and they see guys, hitting bombs, and they see guys shooting threes. It's great. But I think there's some of the joy has been lost from just being a kid, playing youth sports. Like some of the joy that we've seen from, if you ask someone from, the 80s and 90s, they'll say that they've been outside, they were outside all day as a kid. And the only time they'd come in is during dinner. And now you don't see that. I think with technology, you're seeing less kids outside and more kids on their tablet inside sitting watching TV. And I think the kids that are playing sports are kind of overhyping themselves. And I don't think anybody needs to be overhyping themselves at 10 years old. I think at 10 years old, that's when you're allowed to be a kid. That's when you're allowed to do kid things and eat kid foods and hang out with your friends. You don't necessarily need to be focusing on the draft at 10 years old. And, parents have a lot to do with this. And, daddy ball is a thing. Of course, it's been a term where, the fathers are taking control of their kids' careers. And, I was going on Instagram and I saw kids that are, 14, 15 years old, focused on, launch angle and exit velocity. And I mean, that's great that they're focused on getting better and they're in the weight room. But I just think that there's a little bit of loss of just the component of having fun as a young athlete. I think that we need to get back to, enjoying it with your friends. If you lose a little league game, who cares? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if you lost a youth sports game as a kid and played a heck of a game, like that's nothing to be, especially, by the way, this is like a kind of a little individualism, I guess, like where you hit a home run or you shoot the game winning shot. That's fun, but losing is not fun. But what I would say in youth sports is losing is how you get better. And I think all the players that don't want to play high school baseball, they get filtered out anyways. And they get filtered out as you go to college. That's why you see the numbers in sports kind of dwindle. Like you see little league, it's a high number. Then you move up to high school, then you move up to college, and it's, it just keeps dwindling. So I think we need to get back to the good old days where kids were having fun playing baseball and not necessarily looking for a professional contract at 13 years old. And I think parents need to kind of relax a little bit, let their kids be kids. Coaches need to relax a little bit and realize they're not coaching a big league team, and they're literally volunteers. So that's my rant. I'm sure there's a part of it that didn't make sense because I stumbled my words. But yeah, I honestly think that kids need a chance to be kids. In this day and technology, I don't think they're getting it.
Great stuff, Steve. Yeah, I mean, it was Yogi Berra who said baseball's 10% physical, or no, 50% physical, 90% mental. And technology doesn't really help kids build that mental aspect and that mental toughness the way it used to. All right, moving on to the NFL. Deshaun Watson, guys. Things are not looking good for him. 14 women have come forward now. And I mean, there's no in between this. He's either a monster or it is the wildest defamation job I've ever seen by a sports team on their star player. But I will say this. 1 is an anomaly. 14 is a pattern. Armand, your thoughts?
Yeah, 100% agreed. I think if there's 14 accounts of assault, then that there's no way this is made up. I think 14 is a lot. It needs to be taken serious. I think if Watson is deep in the mud right now and he needs to get it figured out. But if this is true, yeah, it's definitely a terrible loss and it's not looking good for him.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is teams are still interested in trading for him. It was Ian Rappaport who went on Pat McAfee's show yesterday and said the Niners are still on him, the Broncos, several other teams. And I mean, there are just so many weird things with what's going on. I mean, obviously, Busby, the attorney bringing these charges, is neighbors with the Texans owner. Uh, but there's also the Deshaun Watson text. It's a crazy situation. We're going to let the facts get out there. And there's definitely stuff we still haven't seen yet. So we'll figure it out as it happens. But yeah, things are not looking good for Deshaun. In other news, the Giants have been making splashes left and right, picking up Kenny Galladay and now Adoree Jackson. Marco, how do you think they fare in the NFC East next year?
I think they fare pretty well. Like I said last week, they also got John Ross at receiver. So now they have somebody speedy who can either play that slot or that number 2 role. And Daniel Jones has now a very nice selection of weapons that he can use. Now, especially with Saquon Barkley coming back as well, he has a nice running back he can throw to as well. But I really like that Adoree Jackson thing. I sent out a tweet when he first became a free agent that somebody who needs a kick returner or a punt returner needs to get him, because at USC, when he played at USC, he was electric in the return game, and he was torching everybody. He honestly looked like Devin Hester, but actually, Devin Hester's actually might be a little much because he's the best returner of all time. But I like the moves for the Giants, but they're going to have a tough hill to climb if they want to get back to the playoffs like what Manning did with them almost a decade ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is definitely a put up or shut up year for Daniel Jones. Now there's really no excuse for him to get the job done. I really like what Joe Judge has done with their defense, and I really just like Joe Judge as a coach in general. I mean, I remember when that video came out of him having even the coaches run laps with his players. I think he's a football guy, and he wants to win. And I mean, you saw that when the Eagles blew that game against Washington. He was upset. He's going to fight for his guys. He's a player's coach. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how the NFC East fares out this year, especially with the football team making moves. I'm beyond excited to see Fitzmagic ball out with them. Obviously, Dak got paid. Now it's time for the Cowboys to do something. And the Eagles are a mess, but we'll see what happens there. Maybe Jalen Hurts has a little magic in him. All right, Marco, it's time for your mock of the week. Let's hear it.
All right, so before I start, let me just say that from now on and from now until the NFL draft, I'm going to start doing some draft day trades that could potentially happen.
Perfect.
And because unless there's a big trade rumor for a player that is coming out, that this is mostly going to be that. So my first mock trade involves the San Francisco 49ers and the New England Patriots. And it's very simple. And I actually ran a Pro Football Focus mock draft simulation on this before I did it. I did my due diligence. I did my homework. So I have the 49ers getting picks 15 and picks 47, while Patriots get pick number 12. Now, this is going to need some explaining. Obviously, we know the Patriots need a QB. And in my mock draft simulation, Trey Lance was still on the board. So why doesn't the Patriots, if that happens, take advantage of that situation, trade up to 12, and get Trey Lance? He can still be he can develop behind Cam, or he can battle for the starting spot. I believe he is a good quarterback to do so. So that way the 49ers still trade down, and they get an extra second round pick in the process. So what do they do with those 3 picks? With the first pick, I have him getting the 6'3" tackle out of Northwestern, Rashawn Slater, who I think can be a menace on that O-line. My only issue is he played left tackle when he was in college. I just don't know if he would be willing to go to right. I don't know if he's also a guard, but If not, they can get another. They can get another defensive back. They can get. They can. I would not suggest they get Mac Jones, but they might think highly of him, or they could get another O lineman. But with the 2 second-round picks, I would have them getting quarterback Kellen Mond, and then to up their secondary, 6'0" University of Central Florida safety Richie Grant, which I was watching a little bit of a tape on a game against. Actually, I can't remember the game, but he looked good. He had a couple pass defenses, and it was actually a career game for tackles for him. So to sum up, 49ers get 15 and 47. Patriots get 12, get Trey Lance. 49ers would get Slater with that 15th pick and use their 2 second-round picks on a quarterback and a defensive back, or whatever they don't take in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I like this trade. I mean, my only thing I have to say about it is I think the Patriots are kind of set. I think they really like Cam and what they can do with him. So I don't really see them drafting a quarterback in this draft, maybe in the next draft. I think they really want to see what they have in Cam, and now that they've surrounded him with some weapons. I also think the 49ers are pretty set on O-line. I mean, they got Trent Williams. I think they still really like McGlinchey. But you bringing up Kellen Mond, I think, is great just because I do think no matter what, the Niners are going to draft him. Just because if there's one thing, and as a Raiders fan, I haven't watched a ton of Niners football, but from what I've seen from Kyle Shanahan, he likes guys with physical traits because he can work that into a great player. Like you saw, he'd put anyone in his system and they'd pretty much excel. So if you have the physical traits to get it done, obviously his offense is the right one for you. But Armand, you're our local Niners fan. What do you think of the trade?
Yeah, I think it's all a sense of direction on where the Patriots want to go and where the Niners want to go. I think getting Trent Williams was really big because as of right now, yeah, I was looking at Rashawn Slater and seeing, yeah, he would be a beast at left tackle, but seeing Trent Williams get signed, I don't think it'll happen. But for the Patriots, it's all of what they want to do next year. Cam got another contract. They want another prove a year, but if they want Trey Lance and let him marinate the offense for a year with McDaniels, maybe that's the only sign I see of Trey Lance going to the Patriots. But if that's what they want to do, then it's a smart move for the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, this draft is going to be crazy. I think you're going to see the Bears make a big push since they missed out on literally every quarterback. I mean, if I'm a Bears fan, do I really want Andy Dalton? The Red Rocket is my guy. So, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be insane. You're gonna see a ton of trades, a ton of teams moving up and down, and I think, as Marco said, and you're our draft guy, but there is gonna be so much value in that second and third round. I think you're gonna see a lot of steals in this draft, and it's gonna be a lot of fun come April. It's gonna be chaos, but that's what we love in the NFL, and that's why we love the NFL. All right, time for our favorite segment of the show, 60-second rants. Steve, you're up first. I know you're freestyling this one, but I'm always excited to hear what you have to say about the sports world. So you're on the clock.
Yes. So I found something. It's called banana baseball and the Savannah Bananas. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but it's a kind of a form of baseball. It's played in Savannah, or at least founded in Savannah. And the most popular team is there. So basically the rules is pretty much baseball, but the rules are way different. It's every inning counts. So every inning is kind of, you get a point if you win the inning. Next, 2-hour time limit for games, no stepping out of the box, no bunting. Batters can steal first base. So if there's a pitch to the backstop with nobody on, you can steal first, which is kind of interesting. So a wild pitch, with nobody on. No walks allowed. One-on-one showdown and tiebreaker game. So no extra innings. You have your best pitcher and your best hitter go out there and they match up. No mound visits. And here's my favorite rule of all. If a fan catches a foul ball, it's an out. This banana baseball, guys, pay attention to it. I'm going to watch this year for sure.
So it's basically if Rob Manfred could make actually good rules.
It's if Rob Manfred had authority to do stuff without the owners voting.
That seems like the coolest sport ever.
It does.
I'd love to watch that.
All right,
didn't
Marco.
tell us when where to find that.
You're on the clock.
Oh, I am?
Yep.
Oh, shoot. So I mentioned about the NFL draft, but there's also a guy that the Niners should take a look at if they're at 12. And that is Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida. Now you might be thinking, George Kittle, Ross Dwelley. Yes. But here's the thing. If you have weapons like Kyle Juszczyk, you now have George Kittle and Ross Dwelley, and you add Kyle Pitts to the mix, NFC West defensive coordinators would be up late at night trying to figure out how to figure him out. First of all, Kyle Pitts ran a 4.42 in the combine, or excuse me, not the combine, his pro day. So he would add a lot of speed, but he would also add a lot of versatility to a 2 tight end set. He can catch, but the only thing is he may not be able to block. So that's something that the Niners might have to teach him.
Right on the dot, 1 minute exactly. All right, Alvin, you're up, buddy. Let's see it.
So we know the Gauchers lost the Quinta in the first round, 63-62. But I still want to mention Miles Norris, who transferred from College of San Francisco to UCSB. I think Miles Norris is the most talented player I've ever seen in my life so far. Well, one time I saw him in a game at Skyline. Like, he dunked, and he also can shoot a 3. The first quarter score was 28-2. So he totally dominated, and like 6'10" and 220 pounds, playing power forward. I mean, it's a very classic, forward player, but he also can play pick and roll and pick and pop and can shoot the 3 from downtown. So I wish he can draft in the NBA, and when we will see.
Great stuff, Alvin. All right, Armand, you ready?
Yep.
Let's hear it.
All right, so just want to give a quick shout out to the Oklahoma State basketball team. I think the head coach, Mike Boynton, did a great job with this squad. I think the emergence of Avery Anderson was amazing this year. Cade Cunningham, obviously the leader of the pack, averaging 20 points and 6 boards. I think he did a lot for the franchise. I think Oklahoma State as a whole became a more popular household name, and I think him going to the draft is going to be great, as he hasn't clearly declared yet, but it looks like he's on his way out. And quick shout out to the Michigan Wolverines yesterday, a great win against LSU. Guys like Shawnee Brown and Eli Brooks did a great job as the 2 senior guards, came in, made an impact. And Hunter Dickinson, freshman, great game last night. I think that LSU team was coming out for blood, and Michigan had to put them in their place and move on to their next round.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Great season for OSU. All right. So my 60-second rants lately have just become me degrading my favorite sports teams, and we're going to continue with that trend today. I love John Gruden, but what the heck is he doing? Oh, my God. Getting rid of our entire offensive line in an offseason where we need to focus on defense. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know what we're doing. Now we have to waste draft capital on offensive linemen when we could be bolstering our defense, which was the worst in the league. Our offense was fine. Why do we have to tinker with our offense at all? The Raiders are like that ex-girlfriend who always leaves you down bad, but you always come back, and then it's great for like the first 3 months, and then she just breaks your heart, breaks you down, and you just keep going back no matter what, and it sucks. I hate being a Raiders fan, but I love it at the same time. It's crazy. Gus Bradley might save us. I don't know what to expect this season. Yeah, it's going to be wild, and that's my 60-second rant. All right. Crazy show today. Fun as always. We'll see you guys next week on the TSV Sports Show.